Right, so yeah, I think what we'll do, I'll just have a big clean up here, put a lot of tools away, have a clean up, sweep up off the floor obviously, so just in case I have to drop anything small, just have a big clean up here and we'll get the gauges stripped down, cleaned up, check, make sure everything's working. I know some of it's working, I've had a little play, but not really, if you know what I mean. Work out what speedo is going to go on, all those sorts of things. So I think, yeah, I'll have a quick clean up here, and then after lunch we'll might start having a look at that sort of stuff, because there's not much more. Well, there is, but there isn't, you know what I mean? I'm starting to run out of, not really, but I'm sort of running out of stuff I can do in this area without getting things back. You know, I can do obviously I can do the gauge cluster. You know, there's a couple of little bits and pieces to do here, like we can sort out a speedo cable, but I haven't got anything to sort out the thing. You know, I can start working on the windscreen stuff too, but obviously I'm going to have to make a pattern for glass at some point shortly, and get that cut. You know, just bits and pieces like that, but yeah, I can't do a lot more here until we get the motor in box and we can just finalise all these last little bits and pieces. There's nothing really to do in the back. Again, you know, it's until the upholstery's in it, it's kind of done back here. You know, sit the seat in. You know, we're going to obviously got to wait for the outer door handles, send them away. Like, I've got to put those little bits on, which I've got to clean up and sort. I've finished doing that. You know, then we're basically get the rear end sorted. I've got to make the bracket for that spare wheel carrier. I've got to frig around and do that, so I actually need to get some materials to do that. Yeah, so if we can get that bearing for that frickin' clutch, that'll help us a lot. You know, we can start doing this shit. You know, because apart from putting the steering box in there and the pedal, I can't do a lot of that until the rest of it's in, if you know what I mean. And I haven't got the wheels back, so I can't do the back brakes. The only other thing I need to do there, and there's a mouse frickin' floating around over there, I just spotted him. I could get one of these old back wheels, one of those, because it's got the drum, and just shape at some point these shoes and get them fitting nicely, because I've been told to get them so they really slip on nicely, but it would be nice to have the right ones. But I can put all the hardware together, kind of sit it over it and just test fit and make sure it's just slips over and sits nice. It's not sitting tight or high anywhere, because apparently if those drums heat up, they'll lock the brakes up pretty quick. Shush. But anyway, I'm going to have a clean up here, get some crap out of the road, have a clean up, and yeah, we'll start looking at the dash stuff, I think. Righty guys, so this book here, which is the original owner's manual for this thing, tells me what all the gauges are here. Now, this car here, I'm trying to zoom in and hopefully that can focus on that writing. So this one here, so it's motor oil pressure gauge, which is in there, or in a gauge, in a cluster. Speedo, which is that one there. I'm not sure if it's exactly the right thing, but it will do the job if needed. So the petrol gauge, which I'm assuming is that, and then This one is the brake service oil pressure gauge. Now, this is mechanical brakes, not hydraulic, but I know the ones that have four-wheel brakes have a system that runs off the gearbox. There's an extra piece on the gearbox in those cars, so I don't, it's a little bit different. I've got pictures of how that works, but yeah, I haven't seen it. So we don't have that gauge, because they make a 3 gauge and a 4 gauge cluster. Like, I'm talking about the ones in the middle, not the main two, if you know what I mean. So there's obviously the clock and whatever else. So yeah, we don't need that one. So what we've got here is we've got this dash here, or cluster. I guess what I call it. I'll zoom back out again. So we've got this cluster and this one. Now, looking at this one without pulling it apart, the paintwork in behind looks way better than this one here, which is really freaking handy. Because I think this is the one we're going to end up using. I thought maybe when I first looked at building this car and bits and pieces, I thought, oh, maybe we might better, put the 4 gauge thing in it. But because it's a brake pressure gauge, there's not much point. So we'll just kind of do what we need to do to make what we've got work, I guess. So yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip this one down. Well, what I want to do is, set this back up here and I'll bring the cluster down. I've also got some photos of a proper 3 one-side. But what I want to do is strip all this down, clean all this back part up, and also I can use parts of this one if I need it, but this one here may end up in another car, if you know what I mean, at some point. So I'll clean all this up, obviously get the glass out of it, and all that sort of stuff. Then I can polish that up. It's all stainless or something like that, so that'll be easy to clean up. The outside piece, clean the glass, clean the backing, maybe tape it off at the front, clean up the best I can, and just paint the back of it. Just do the best I can without, I really don't want to obviously destroy what's in there. Just clean it, because it's in good nick. With the rest of it cleaned up, I think it'll be fine. So yeah, it'll just be nice to clean all this up. So whether I can lay it on something and give this a scuff up and spray it with some etch or something like that, and just really make sure this is all sealed. That piece might come off actually. Oh yeah, that might do. That piece there might come out, so I might better do this separately. We'll see when we get it apart. Right, so we sandblasted the back of that and sandblasted the front. Now, I kept away from in here because this has got white paint in here, and it's actually not in bad nick, or sort of a creamy white. And I just taped up around the edge of the cork. I just lightly brushed over it with the sand or the grit media, because I've actually got a blend of walnut and whatever the other one is that's in there. Can't remember what mix it was. But yeah, I ended up mixing it a little bit So yeah, I just brushed over the cork gasket, and it seems to be okay. We'll see what it's like when we finish. The back sides of these are meant to have little paper gaskets on there. I will make something up out of wherever that gasket paper is here that I've got here. See if I can make up some little fine rings out of there if I can, and put in there eventually. I will spray the back of this black. I don't know if I'll do the inside of it the black. It was never black. It was like, it would have been originally like a galvanised or a zinced coating, but I could go buy a can of like zinc colour stuff and spray it. We'll see. Otherwise, I'll just spray it black. So I've just gone through and cleaned up all the little screws, just on the wire wheel. Try to do it the best I can because it's so bloody small. Like I could go buy some bloody, what do you want to call it? Evaporust or something like that, but I'll just give them a quick buff up the wire wheel. That should be fine. So now what I think I'll do is I'll throw these in this ice cream bottle so they're out of the road and I don't lose them. Also get some glass out of this. I'm not going to worry about cleaning this up at the moment. Like, all it really needs when we assemble it is just give it a good wipe down, and maybe just to give it a wipe over with some polish or whatever, cutter or whatever. Give it a clean up, you know, wipe down with a rag, whatever, and just give it a light. Just put a little of that cutting compound on there that I used to buff the car, and just give it a good clean up and a buff up, and then it'll be ready to go back together. It's bred in really good nick, which is absolutely freaking a lifesaver, to be honest. Otherwise you would lose all that beautiful little original scroll sort of type work if I had to spray it. So it's nice not to have to do that. I might just give it a wee wipe down now and just, but yeah, like well, that's all it needs later on, you know. Is a just a general clean up, really. Yeah, I think that's all it really needs, is just a wipe down, and before we assemble it, we'll just give it a put a little bit of that polish on a rag and just give it a bloody good clean, really, and that'll just help bring up the surface a little bit with a little bit of just a light rub. Yeah, back it's fine. There's no point chasing anything. We'll just give it again a light clean up. It's obviously what's that, bronze, hand formed bronze. By the looks of it, just put in a press mould. So yeah, that's cool. Well, because it's definitely in better condition than this one. You can see where all the crap. Yeah, you can see where this is all falling off. So it's quite nice. We don't have to use this one, otherwise we'd lose all that because I would have to spray it. But yeah, right, let's see. Actually, I need those. I might need one of those. I might need one of these to hold this gauge in properly, because this is not the original. These are definitely all original. Pressure gauge, I'm pretty sure this still works. I think this still works. I don't know if it'll move or not. Yeah, so that still works. I can make the needle move a little bit. I assume that's bar, so it'll be 1 bar, 2 bar. So yeah, like I'm probably blowing, you know, just a few light PSI. Yeah, so probably 2 or 3 PSI, 4 PSI maybe. got all my breath can push, but at least I know it works, so that's cool. So that really just needs a clean up. Let's undo that. We'll start with this one. Yeah, we half inch. Ooh. It's nice and tight. Just moving properly yet. So hopefully, I don't know, but that looks like where that goes down to. So what we look on the motor. This might be good enough to use with a wee bit of a clean up. So we look, we look, poke it down through the firewall, assuming it probably just goes down under the back of the motor somewhere, I guess. I'll have a quick wee look and we'll come back to you. No, not sure where that went to. That may have went to something inside before it went outside, don't know. Or maybe another piece of hose. So I'll just keep this handy because it's obviously got the right fittings on it. And we can just remake this stuff if need be, or when I do a little bit more research and figure it all out, we'll find out. We won't throw it away. I can see what Arco wants. I know he's on his way to Ironhead Garage with a one said yellow truck that is poorly built. I can flick a couple pictures up for you when I get this video up. They will be probably there and working on it before this video goes up. Like, this is probably going to be maybe middle of next week, by the time this video goes up. But anyway, you probably may have seen something before that. But yeah, they're going over there with that truck to rebuild that somebody built, and it's shocking. Looks pretty from 50. Right guys, so this is just a wee add-in. So it's official now. The channel was made, and it's going to be starring, hopefully, be William, Jason and Aaron from Ironhead Garage, Arco from Outlaw Edge, and me from NZ Marko Outlaw Kustoms. And the channel is called Iron Outlaws. And we're going to do it as more of a TV production. I'm not quite sure how often we're going to put videos out. It's just when we do a combined work on something. And the first vehicle is obviously this yellow, it's a Chev, I think, or GMC, I think. I'd have to double check. But yeah, that's the first job that we're doing. It was a job that Arco got because it was poorly made. Somebody else had been done it at supposedly a high-end shop somewhere, and it was just a complete butcher. Looks nice from 50, 100 feet, but when you get up close, it's just badly done. They've actually completely blown it apart. That's you've seen early in this clip, the video that I said that Arco and them were taking that over, and I've done a couple of clips yet, so they've completely blown it apart now, as of now. Yeah, so they're stripping it down, getting it down to bare metal, and then they'll assess it from there, and we go on. So at the moment, Aaron is going to be editing all this stuff, but it's going to be a real slow, methodical go through, and we're going to build. I'm not 100% sure on the time and length yet, but somewhere around that sort of half an hour to 45, maybe an hour long, more TV production type video. So it's going to be really well edited and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully when I get over there sometime later next month for a few weeks, we will do some more on it, and obviously Arco's car show and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, when I get over there permanently, yeah, I'll be permanently in that channel, as well as obviously our own. When we're doing our own stuff, that'll be in our normal channels, but we're going to be doing combined stuff and trying to build this really wicked, hopefully TV grade sort of type stuff. So yeah, Iron Outlaws is what the name of the channel is going to be. At the moment, we've got a temporary logo up there. It's actually got the silhouette of Rogue on it with Iron Outlaws on it, and it's just white at the moment. We're white and black. We're working on something better, but I'd thrown 2 or 3 different things together, and we just sort of picked that one just to throw up there in the meantime until we work out something a bit more permanent. We were just throwing ideas around, and I made up 2 or 3 different things. So we just threw that one up there in the meantime. We're working on something a bit more permanent, because Rogue isn't really associated with Iron Outlaws, it's more associated with me and Arco, but we just threw it in there just to put something up in the thing. So the channel's up. I'll leave a link down in the description, and yeah, there's one little clip up there at the moment, just a quick introduction. It's only a few seconds long, so go find the channel, and yeah, keep an eye out for the content coming. Cheers. None of the old thing doesn't fail. You know, they don't make shit like that anymore, do they? It was built to last forever. Crazy. You know, why can't they build shit like that now? You know, like, that's, you know, really, there's nothing to go really wrong with it, you know what I mean? Like, it's frickin' a really pretty piece of frickin' engineering from back of the day, isn't it? So simple, but so effective. So, that's cool. That's the, obviously the oil pressure gauge part. So that's the oil pressure gauge part. So the only reason I pulled it apart is because I want to clean the back of this up. Everything else is fine, you know, apart from, you know, polish the glass and whatever. I just want to clean these bits up, and obviously the couple of screws off the back. Clean them up, paint them, give this a, well, the face isn't that bloody neat perfect, like it doesn't even need cleaned. Just clean the glass and the little brass or bronze, you know, give that a polish and put it back together. So that's cool. Man, they make some of the stuff they made way back then. It's just so much prettier when you pull it apart, isn't it? Anyway, we will set it all back on there, just so I don't damage the gauge in the meantime. Freaking it. So we'll just set that back on there so the needle doesn't get damaged. And we will give these to a sandblast, coat of paint, and be ready to assemble again. Like, I know the gauge works, so there's no point frigging with the thing. It works perfectly. Worst comes to worst, I've got another one. Or just put 2 fuel gauge, or pressure gauges in it. One to be sure, like an Irishman. Right, so I'll give them the glass a quick clean up. It looks like it should be alright, with a bit of a bit more of a polish up and whatever. There's a few minor little marks and bits and pieces on it, but most of it I think will be fine. Worst comes to worst, I'll probably strip that one down just to see what the glass is like. See if it's slightly better, but this is fine. That's pretty clear, really. Like, you know, it's not as though you can't see through it. There's a couple minor scratches on it, a couple slightly. Don't know if you can see that just above my finger. Yeah, you can. Right, like, there's a couple little minor marks like that, but it's nothing significant, and it's just, I guess, regular toughened glass. It's pretty thick, so like it shouldn't be terribly hard to replace if we had to, but I think that would be fine. If that one's worse, this will be fine. You know, it's cool to try and, you know, you got to try and keep some of it original, like you're restoring a car, not. You know, we're not trying to make it brand new. Otherwise, you just remake everything. But you know, if we can get away with a few things that aren't 100% perfect, but are original, you know, well, you do the best you can do, you know. So yeah, it's cool. Just clean a wee bit of that shit off around the edges. Now we can give it a decent clean with some glass cleaner or something like that. I haven't got any glass cleaner here, but I just gave it a quick polish and a spray down with some brake clean to get the crap off it. And yeah, it's pretty good. It's not as though it's heavily scratched or anything like that. That's probably just been a ring, or could have even just been from being in the box. It's not too bad. Like, it's actually got a couple. It's actually got an imperfection there, just above my finger. Don't know if you can pick that up or not. You might be able to see that. Yeah, it's just running across the edge of my nose there. Now you can see that little shadow. Yeah, it's got this funny looking imperfection in the glass, you know, from way back in the day when they made it. So that's cool. I do give this a gentle bit more of a wipe down. Have to be very, very, very careful. I almost started rubbing the lines off, and I was barely putting it. I just put a little bit of compound on the cloth and gave it a bit of a wipe, but yeah, it started moving it, so I just used the other end of the cloth and just gave it a gentle wipe. So I might just again bring some glass cleaner down or something like that and just give it a bit of a squirt. You guys call it Windex, we call it glass cleaner, and just give it a decent wipe down. But yeah, so that's cool. So that's basically ready to go. I'll just polish up the eldest round. That's the bezel off the oil pressure gauge. I've given that a bit of a buff up, so it's cool. That's fine. I was hoping, because this is one of the ones out of the other dash, the one that's got no guts in it. I was actually hoping I'm going to still have another try. I might give it a clean up, see what it buffs up like, because this one here is not right, but that's the right shape. It'd be just quite, if I can retrofit it over top of that one, even if it's just sitting in there and then that's pushed against the glass for that amp meter, at least it'll look like it's got the right thing in behind it. Not that this looks that bad, you know, once they're probably all polished up, it probably won't look bad, but it's not 100% right. But that is the right thing to poke through there. So if I can get that off there, and it will buff up like these other ones, I might try and just slip it over top. Like, I'll show you with this one. I don't know, it might be just enough to, I don't know, it might be enough to disguise it. That's not 100% the right thing, if you know what I mean. That would look better than that. And I may be able to get that glass to sit up against the back of that, if I can get that to actually fit on it. Like, I might be able to get one of these to actually clip over that. And I think it probably would. If we can get it to work, I'll make it work, if you know what I mean. It's worth a try, because this is obviously isn't the exact right thing, but it's close enough. And the only other thing I could do when I do have it a paint part is maybe, I don't know whether I can slip a little bit of paper in behind it and just paint that needle black like everything else. Then it wouldn't be quite so obvious that it's not quite the right thing. We'll just help it blend in a little bit better. It's interesting that oil pressure gauge there. This might be out of a later model. It's got 2 pointers, like that's almost like its maximum oil pressure, but that's actually in pounds, not bar. Or that one's in bar though. It's weird that it's got 2. Or is that that might be brake pressure. Is that the brake pressure one? That might be a brake pressure gauge maybe. How it's got that brake pressure, I don't know. I don't know what it looks like, so hard to tell. But I might do some more research. But that, if we can get that to go over top of that, like one of those other ones, or that one, or whatever, that might be just enough to hide that it's not quite the right thing. Or at least make it look like it's close to the right thing. The big thing is that all these gauges are actually all slightly, they're not a, you know, it's not as though they're all a uniform type thing, if you know what I mean. But they're all different, so it's going to be hard to tell that that's not exactly the perfect thing, is it, if you know what I mean. Without having another one there to compare it by, or somebody that really knows. But, yeah, we'll carry on, and we'll keep cleaning stuff up. Oh, the other thing I've got done too is I've given the back plate the coat of black, and I've got the other bezel from that oil pressure gauge. I've got that etched, so I will give that a coat of black probably just before I leave, I think. Yeah, I'll give that a coat shortly. I'll see if it's dry and I'll give that a coat, and that'll probably be my day, I think. So I want to go do some shopping, some grocery shopping for tea. Anyway, or dinner, whatever you want guys call it, evening meal. Righty, I'll get that done, and yeah, we'll probably see you tomorrow. Right, morning guys, so welcome back again. So, did a little bit of research on this last night, threw a post up on Facebook, and the guy from Australia come back to me and said that this here is a works a wee bit like what do you want to call it? It's a little bit like a thermometer. It works under pressure. It should have a red fluid in here, and apparently there's a kit you can buy to rebuild these. So hopefully, so basically from what I can work out, it's got like a little fine tube like this that runs from here to the fuel tank. Yeah, and it just must work off the pressure in the tank, and it tells you how full it is, which is a pretty crazy way of doing it, but I guess was an easy way of doing it, I guess back then. So yeah, the only way I can sort of explain it, it works a bit like a thermometer. It's got that red fluid in it that comes up and down and tells you what the pressure is. So actually just having a better look at this. I hope that actually the casing is alright, because it's actually, didn't realise that yesterday. It's got a bit of damage to it. Hopefully it's alright and we can rebuild it. Because yeah, it's got like a little tube that runs up into there and replaces it. But apparently the kit comes with everything you need. Not exactly sure on how much it is. I don't think it's horrendously expensive, and it comes with all the instructions and everything to repair it, so we'll have to look into that. So I'll probably just leave that in the meantime. There's not actually a lot to clean up on it, if you know what I mean. I'm guessing that, because there must have been quite a few makes and brands had this, but it seems to be more of those higher end vehicles back in the day, like the Duesenbergs and Packards and Cadillacs, stuff like that. There was probably other vehicles that had that too, but it seems to be, because yeah, the list of names that comes through with the same gauge or very similar gauge that the replacement thing works in. Yeah, it's all those sorts of things that had this. You know, like Pierce arrows and cords and all those sorts of things had that style of thing in it for a fuel gauge. So that's quite interesting. So yeah, I learned a little bit from that. So next, I'm going to try and get this oil pressure gauge back together. So I painted that last night, whatever, so we'll pop that back together this morning. That's obviously dry, so you can take the tape off that. That looks better. You don't see any of this anyway because it's covered by that, but you know, and that the whitey colour was still okay in there. I didn't think there was any point in screwing with that. I just put a bit of tape in there, you know. Leave a little bit of their original in there. So yeah, by the time you put that there back over there, like you never see any of the black anyway, so it doesn't matter if it's black. It's just clean and tidy, you know. Somebody that pulls it apart, so I can at least put the oil pressure gauge back in there once I get it back together, and move to the next one. When I get a chance to talk to the owner, I'll get him to, I'll share the information that I've got. I've got a link to where to buy the part from, and if they don't have it, well, somebody else will have it, if you know what I mean. We'll find it somewhere. So that's handy to know exactly what the deal is there. And I'll get this polished up and whatever. And so yeah, I don't think it's going to be a huge job to get this stuff all cleaned up, as long as I can get everything apart okay, get the houses cleaned up, and yeah, and hopefully I can adapt one of these other rings onto this to just make it look a wee bit more authentic, and maybe paint that needle black, because it wouldn't have been originally black. It would have been, or wouldn't have been originally red, sorry, it would have been black. So if I can disguise that, if I can slip a bit of some paper in behind it and tape it up and whatever, and just brush paint a little bit of black on it very finely, at least it'll be black, not red, and just not quite stand out quite so much, because it's a similar sort of size, it's a similar sort of needle. It's not exactly the same, but it's, you know, they're all a little bit different anyway, so it doesn't really quite matter so much. And if we ever come across the right thing, it's not hard to swap it out. So anyway, I will carry on. Alrighty guys, so I'm just looking at this amp gauge, because I just I gave that back of that oil pressure gauge another coat of black, and it's sitting over there in the sun. Not that it's very hot, but at least the sun's warm, if you know what I mean there. But I'm just looking at this amp gauge. So I've got that all stripped down. I've tried to clean the face the best I can. It's got a few little spot marks and watermarks on it, if you know what I mean. I'm going to try and put some black on that needle at some point, shortly-ish. Not 100% sure, but shortly-ish, if you know what I mean. But I'm looking at this housing. So this is a proper housing for the Studebakers. So it goes on there like that. And the glass and everything off the original housing, this one, will fit in this housing. So that's the glass in that original thing. If I can polish it up, it should look okay. It's not, for some reason, it's not bronze, I don't think. But if it polishes up okay, that ring, it'll be alright. Or I might try and pinch maybe the one off this one and put that one on that one, so they're all that, well, they're not going to be all that bronzy look, because the Speedo's not that bronzy look. But when I clean that up, it might be bronzy underneath. I don't know. They were probably all, they may be all nickeled originally, but I think when they're all polished up with that sort of slightly bronzy nickeled look, if they all look a little bit like that, they'll all be reasonably uniform. So I may pinch that and put that one on that, just so it's still together, if you know what I mean. Maybe, but this here is not as deep as this, but it's exactly the same diameter. So my thoughts are, and also those holes that aren't in the right place, they're close. So the big thing is, this has got, the only thing I can do is if I can, actually I probably can. What I can probably do, because these are obviously the contacts for the thing, so they've got to be insulated. So my thoughts are, depending on how I can do it, is to space this out, because you've got a whole heap of nuts and bits and pieces which come with this that went on the back, because it was all spaced with nuts and it's all insulated. So if I can do something similar to this, but put some of the extra nuts on the inside to space it right, I think it'll be fine. And maybe just, I don't know whether I can match, probably can. Probably what I could do is weld these up, maybe just on this plate, take this plate off, weld them up, transfer these to those, so it's a little bit closer in together. Just open up the back of this a little bit because they touch the things. So I don't really, might be right, they don't quite touch, if you know what I mean. I could probably just open up a little bit. But if I re-drill the holes in this back plate, fill them up, grind it off, re-drill them to what this is, obviously keep the orientation right, and re-drill them, and then I can space with the little nuts and insulators and whatever else and get that to sit right, because obviously that needs to be supported properly with that right depth. Yeah, that'll work. There's plenty of little, I've got plenty of little insulators here, there's heaps of them for each side of that bracket, so I'm trying to eliminate that and put it in an original housing, so at least it, if somebody climbs in the back, it looks like it's an original, or as close as original, you know what I mean, as we can get. So I think that's what I'm going to do here, retrofit that into an original housing and maybe pinch that ring if I can't get that one to resemble that. This one almost looks like it's steel, not brass or bronze or whatever it's meant to be, if you know what I mean. Yeah, it's quite handy, that glass fits perfectly. So yeah, it'll be just nice if they're all the same. It might be alright, I might get to just clean it up and we'll see. But it looks like this one's steel, not this one here. Is definitely brass or bronze. It even feels different in weight. So this could be I don't know, a different year or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, we'll try and get them all as close as possible, and if I have to pinch a ring off that one and slip this one on that, so at least it's complete together, yeah, it's all good. So I'll do that. First thing I'm going to do is take that off, weld it up, we'll sandblast this, weld that up, drill the holes in it, sandblast it, and yeah, get it ready to put that together and get that painted, and we'll try and see if we can get that needle black instead of red. Righty, guess what we just got back? Goodies, 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 goodies. We have one steering wheel. We just got it back. That looks shit hot. Can't wait to get that back on there. And it actually doesn't match too bad with the, with that. Looks quite good. So that's cool. Very nice. Right. I was going to do this on camera, but it was just so bloody fiddly. So it's now black. So I'll explain what I did. I put that housing on it backwards, and taped the other one to the bottom of it. Sat it on there, and I put a nut just on one thing, just gently, and wound it up in there so it would hold. And then sit that down. And I just slipped these two pieces of paper either side of it and just put a little bit of tape on it, and I just held it back at a distance, and I just missed it enough to make it black. Hopefully it stays that way because it's so freaking delicate. I and then I had to gently come back in after I took the paper away, and just I held the back of that part of the needle down, and I just had to get just a gentle wee rub on the back of the needle in here, and the screwdriver just with this little one, and just give it just a wee touch because it was sticking up a little bit, just to get it to sit back down close to the face again, but without touching it. So it's done. So now I've drilled the holes in that, taken this back off since it won't weld. Now I'm going to transfer the nicks into this in the right place so we can clip that bezel on with those little tabs. I actually realised that you can actually turn them off. So I'm just going to put some nicks in there with the, hopefully just with this. So I'll do that now. I don't know if it's going to be 100% okay, but it should be good enough, if you know what I mean. Grinding, cutting this might be better. Just a little bit more with that battery drill grinder. We'll just sit this here like that. Mark these positions with a marker. Mark these positions. A little bit of gentle work and we'll be right. I'll test to see if this will slip on there now. I have to make those holes a little bigger. That might work. You just have to make them a little bit wider just to get them all in there. Just a little bit wider. There's a bit of delicate work. Yep, sweet. So by the time we get the, hopefully, glass in there, and then the spacer piece that holds the glass in place. Turn it around to the right. That'll work. That'll work. all I want to do now is actually get the one off that. So that's the brass one. Well, I'll have a wee go at polishing this up anyway. And just see if it will come up like the other ones and blend in. So I might give it a wire wheel and then a buff and just see whether it will look like that. I'll come back to you. Righty guys, so I've got that back together. I was gonna do it on camera and then I got a freaking video call from Australia. So got that back together. I've got the other base painted black. On here, on the back of this, there was little gaskets. So I'm going to remake them at some point. I'm about to go home for at least lunch. It is Saturday. I may come back this afternoon and do a little more. But yeah, so we've got that gauge, got that painted, that needle, that back together. I've got the other stuff cleaned up. I've got the other, I got that off that other gauge and put the other one back on it because it's metal. It's, well, it's steel or something like that. It's not this coppery or bronzy, whatever it is. It's even that's like different material to that, but at least it's that same sort of thing. It's weird how they made them out of all different materials, or other it's just different layers of whatever is on it, if you know what I mean. So I've got that off, so that fits that other housing now. I've got that sorted, so at least when I put this all back together, it should all fit nicely. See, that fits there nicely still, hopefully. That all on there, it should be good. So yeah, we won't have to use that funny thing now. We'll just, as long as we get these all insulated, I'll take these little insulated things off, and there's all the other ones, so hopefully we'll get that all situated so it fits properly. And those prongs do fit through, so I've got to clean this up and paint that. So yeah, I might just give that a wire brush and flick a little bit of it. Well, it's bronze, so it might have been just polished, that was it. I'll just paint it black anyway, it won't matter, because they seem to be steel and brass and bronze and frickin' just a mixture of materials in amongst this stuff. Probably if you had, I don't know whether if you had the dashboard from just one car and you knew it was a matching set, whether they'd be all the same materials, I don't know, but obviously they use different stuff at different times, and yeah, you know, might have come from different manufacturers, I don't know. So they're probably all made out of something slightly different at the time, or the, you know, or the one got a bit more frickin' plating on it, and it was a different colour, different shade, different, you know, different mix of material type thing. So you've got the steering wheel, and it's walnut. The wood is made out of walnut. So yeah, that's cool. Looks really good on there. So it's sometime early next week, once I get these gauges sorted, I'll go back and we'll finish putting the column back together with all the little bits and pieces down the bottom on it. Yeah, and we'll go from there with that stuff. That's cool, but it's nice to have that back. At least now we can fit that on there and get everything sorted with that. So that's cool. Yeah, right. We'll carry on. I'll give this a quick clean up and spritz before I leave, and see you later. Monday maybe.